What's going on, everybody? We are here with a draft day video. We wanted to slide this down your timeline just like Shador Sanders. So we are here to bless you guys with a draft video. We're breaking down 4 things today. We're giving you guys the best player fit, the best team draft, the worst team draft, and the best fantasy relevant player. Like who went to a good situation and is going to have success. I don't mean to get ahead of myself, but Ashton Genty is not one of those. We're not one of those channels. But let's get into this first one. You want to go first? Start with the best player fit?
Yeah, I can start here. I just really quick want to ask, we're probably like a top 40 sports betting show on YouTube. Do we get our jerseys retired for that, or how's that work?
I
Hang it in
mean,
the rafters. Hang it in the rafters. I mean, we're doing it.
actually, you know what? My dad was pretty successful. I think I can get that down. I think we can do that.
Okay. We'll let YouTube know. But yeah, my best player fit from this draft, I tried to go a little bit further back for most of my picks, but for this one, it is a pretty high pick, but I just couldn't overlook it. I'm going Mykel Williams, edge rusher, drafted 11th overall to San Francisco. And really what I like here, out of Georgia, we've seen plenty of Georgia defenders have success, mostly over at Philadelphia. Going to San Francisco, who's off a down season, a San Francisco team that has really built that franchise on defense. I know it was not quite as good last year as what it had been the previous 3, 4, 5 years. But now he gets to go opposite of Nick Bosa, who obviously takes most of the attention from the offense. I think he's going to be opened up to be one-on-one quite often. I was kind of hoping he fell to Detroit. I was shocked, but not I guess I was shocked that they took him that high, but I would have probably done the same thing. I'm really impressed with Mykel Williams. So I think his situation is great. He's going to a team that already has, like I said, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, decent secondary as well. So yeah, I really like the situation for Williams. Like I said, he's going to get a lot of one-on-one pass rushing opportunities, and I think he's going to have a nice season.
I like it, man. I like it. This is a pick that I think I had mocked couple times. Actually, I don't think this guy actually fell as far as my mocks as he did in the real draft. Once again, a first round player, but I just think he's going to be such a difference maker, and that's Tyler Warren going to the Indianapolis Colts. I just think he's going to make that team so much better, man. I was looking when I was doing my research. This article is available on our website, bettergreen.com, but 467 total receiving yards of all the tight ends on the Colts last year. I think he easily surpasses that himself. Their number one tight end, 182 yards. I mean, he's probably going to have that within his first 4 games as a rookie. It's just, I think the fit's excellent. I think he's going to be a really good, solid target for the Colts. And this guy's big and he's really agile. So he had quite a bit of rushing experience in college too. So I think if you wanted to kind of get a little jiggy with it, maybe, if you want to say, is put him in the backfield with Taylor on the goal line. Who are they going to give it to? I just think that's a really good option. You can throw it to him. You can have him run out of the backfield. And you know what else? He's a decent blocker. Leave him there. Leave him in. Let JT, who I think is one of the best young backs in the league, let him just pound the ball across the goal line. For a guy like Anthony Richardson that I've never been very high on, and I think he needs help on a team like this, which I think Pittman's fine. I don't think he's probably more of a 1B than a 1A. I feel like that's fair to say. And the other guys are dudes, which I like. Some of them are going to have some games where they're pretty decent. But overall, I just don't really trust this pass catching group. I think Tyler Warren is just such a good fit for this team. So I love that pick by him.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to say Tyler Warren. Yeah, I absolutely love it too. I mean, you look back at when Indy was dominant. Obviously, Peyton Manning was a huge part of that, but Dallas Clark, a great tight end that Indy has not seen since he retired or got traded or was lost in free agency. I can't remember how he left, but I love that pick for Indy as well.
I think you're forgetting about my friend Kobe Fleener.
I met Kobe Fleener's mom.
Did you really?
Yep. After a Colts game, in Detroit, met her at a restaurant. I did like Kobe Fleener.
I loved Kobe Fleener, man. I just hope Tyler Warren is what I really thought Kobe Fleener would be.
Yeah.
So I'm holding out hope for him. Talking about best drafts, I think finding a worse draft was harder than finding a best draft because I think there's quite a few that you could say, this team had the best draft. It surprised me which one I picked because there's quite a few that you really look at that first pick and they nailed it, and some of the other ones you're like, all right, they're decent. I just feel like they just hit. That's the Seattle Seahawks. And they
Yeah.
took Gray Zabel, really boasting that offensive line, and I think he's going to be really, really good at the next level. Nick Emanwari, we were talking about him. He went in the first round of our mock draft. Very, very talented safety that can come in, start day one for him. So that's two day one starters that they have. And then the next two picks are guys that they can develop. So Noah Fant is in his final year of his contract. They took the really talented tight end out of Miami, Elijah Arroyo, I believe is how you pronounce that, Arroyo. He was a little bit of injury problems, but he's super, what's the word? Super athletic, just like Noah Fant is. And Noah Fant wasn't some monster in college either. So I think if he can learn from Noah this year and really take a step forward, I think we're talking starting next year. Week 1, he's the starting tight end. And then Jalen Milroe, I'm not sold on Milroe, but you're getting him late third round, 28th pick in the third round for a guy that has high upside. You got, Sammy D there, which nobody's sold on. I just thought that was a smart pick. And then they just kind of peppered, wide receiver, offensive tackle, running back, couple like a defensive tackle in there after that. Like that's a pretty solid draft. You have at least 2 day one starters and 4 guys that really have that potential to blossom and to be starters for your franchise. So I thought they did an excellent job.
Yeah, no arguments there. I love that Milroe pick.
Yeah.
Like you said, high upside. Heard a lot of quotes coming out of Milroe's camp about just has a really good head on his shoulders. So yeah,
It's
I
going to
really
be
like that.
legendary.
Yes, that. If only he had a dad that played in the NFL.
Yes.
Then he would have fallen 2 more rounds. Um, so I'm going to stick in the same division here. And my breakdown is actually quite similar to Seattle's. I like Arizona's draft quite a
Okay.
bit. And Arizona kind of under the radar team, but just a ton of talent already. I'm a Kyler Murray truther. Obviously, Marvin Harrison didn't come out the gates, maybe like a lot of us thought he would. But a great talent in Marvin Harrison. Nice offensive pieces. Trey Benson at running back. My one knock on Arizona's draft is I thought they should have maybe addressed the O-line a little bit more. They took one offensive lineman, a guard out of Texas, in the 6th round. But you look at their first picks, first round pick, Walter Nolan, defensive tackle out of Mississippi, beefy guy to really stuff up the middle of that defense, followed by Will Johnson, potentially the steal of the draft. As you
Yes.
mentioned with
100.
Seattle's 2nd round pick, we had Will Johnson going in the 1st round of our mock draft. Has a bit of an injury concern. But basically, if that checks out, he's going to be a complete steal. So not only did they get him, but then they take Denzel Burke, another corner out of Ohio State, national championship corner out of Ohio State in round 5. I felt like that was a really nice pick. In between Johnson and Burke, they take an edge out of Oregon, and then Cody Simon, linebacker from Ohio State.
Yes.
Uh,
Good guy.
I loved Cody Simon. Loved
Yes.
Cody Simon. I really wanted Detroit to get him. I think he's just a great pick. I think he will end up being what they thought Isaiah Simmons would be. And then I know it doesn't always translate, but just look at the names of these colleges. I mean, Michigan, Oregon, Ohio State, Texas.
Yeah.
It tends to work out well. And then round 7, their final pick, they take a safety. So 2 corners and a safety, a defensive tackle, a linebacker, edge rusher. They really shored up that defense in this draft. Again, I wish they would have gone after maybe one more lineman. But out of all their picks, I think they had some really nice value in those middle rounds. And I think Arizona is going to be a better team next year than maybe what a lot of people are currently thinking right now.
Yeah. No, I love it. I wish they would have taken a wide receiver for fantasy purposes. I think that would have made the offense better too. But I mean, I don't disagree with you. And am I talking out of turn when I say that I think if that cornerback out of Michigan, if he didn't get hurt, he probably would have been the number 1 cornerback in this year's draft?
Yeah, I think
That's what I think.
I think the early, well, people had Shedeur going 1 overall last year this time, so take it with a grain of salt. But I think he was a top 5 projected pick. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think if he stays healthy, he's number 1 corner and probably a top 10 guy.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree, man. What was your worst team? What team do you think really kind of bombed?
Well, yeah, actually, he would have been the second corner because Travis Hunter still would have been first. And that's my team that I'm not super impressed
Oh,
with their draft.
okay.
Um, for starters, I know the Rams made the F them picks. Strategy, you know, they put it on the map, but the Jags really sold out a lot of their future to move up 3 spots in the draft and take Travis Hunter. Sounds good on paper, but I don't think they're in the position to trade off those picks. They're not in a win now, win next year, even win after that situation. So, I think they really did themselves in, and they're really hoping Travis Hunter can be this generational corner and receiver, and I just can't
Gotta
see it
be.
happening. I cannot see a guy playing every snap offensively and defensively in the NFL. I just think as a business owner, it's not a smart business decision. I can't see Travis Hunter staying healthy. I can't see him being well enough conditioned in the fourth quarter of games, especially early on in his career. I don't think he's going to be what he wants to be, and maybe what Jacksonville thinks he maybe could be. I think if they just isolate him to one side of the ball, he will be very good at either position. I just don't think it's feasible to play both sides. But then you look deeper into the draft, their second pick, also a corner. Uh, they took 2 running backs in the draft when they have Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. I know Etienne is likely not going to be on the team when the season starts, but just wasn't really sure about taking 2 running backs. I think there's quite a few holes on that team, and I don't think running back was one of them. Uh, and then they take 2 linebackers back to back, 4th and 6th round. I do like Jack Kaiser out of Notre Dame. But again, just a lot of loading up on the same position. They take a safety, so they took 3 defensive backs. Yeah, I don't know. I just think there's a lot of holes on that team. I think they kind of fell in love with Travis Hunter, and I just don't think he's going to be able to be what people think he is. And they traded away a lot of their future just to move up 3 picks in this draft. So we'll see how Travis Hunter does. That's the biggest if, obviously, but I'm just not super impressed with how Jacksonville drafted.
Yeah. No, I agree. The picks they traded away, that absolutely has to count in this draft. You got rid of a lot of guys. And, let's play devil's advocate here. Let's say Travis Hunter does work out, and he's a phenomenal cornerback, phenomenal receiver. Imagine when his rookie contract is up. What are they going to have to pay him? What
Yep.
owner's going to want to pay that? I mean, congratulations, it worked out. This guy is going to be getting paid as much as your quarterback, if not more.
Yep.
Insane. Insanity. My team that I picked is the Cincinnati Bengals. And they had 6 picks in the draft, so they don't have a lot of picks. But they really needed to improve that offensive line. They've had quite a bit of line trouble. I'm not sold on their whole running back situation, and then that defense is terrible. That defense needed help in a bad kind of way. And their first guy, Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M, he seems good. He seems like he's a pretty decent guy, but like we were talking about, like these guys from Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State, the miss rate on those guys is way lower than these other schools. There's a reason. Mike Green was what, top 5 defensive tackle, defensive edge player, and he went late second round. He went to the Baltimore Ravens. Why? Because he went to Marshall. Like these guys are monsters, but how monster are they? If you're a monster in the SEC, you're a monster in the Big Ten, you're a monster. We know that. We
Yep.
don't need to ask about any competition. Shamar Stewart, I don't know. Texas A&M just doesn't seem like one of those schools. Maybe back in the Johnny Manziel days, not anymore. They're not that team anymore. Demetrius Knight, linebacker out of South Carolina, it's another guy I think that can come in and contribute. But after that, I mean, like, I don't have much faith in any of the guys 3rd round down. I really don't. I mean, you get a guard out of Georgia, another linebacker out of Clemson, another guard out of Miami. Like, you need some tackle help too. Like this team, there's some holes here. Like Joe Burrow was getting hit too much last year. He was throwing the ball all over the field, scoring crazy points, and your defense was just hemorrhaging. Where's the cornerbacks? Where's the safeties? Where are any of these guys? You took double linebacker, double guard, and then a running back in the 6th round from Texas Tech. So, okay, you want to hang your hat on Texas A&M getting Shamar Stewart. That's not good enough, in my opinion. You had 6 picks, and you did not improve that defense. And, okay, your best pick at offensive line is a 17th pick in the 3rd round, a guard. It's not good enough. For a team that good with Super Bowl aspirations, it's not good enough.
Yeah, no arguing that here. It reminds me, obviously you get guys from smaller schools, Khalil Mack out of Buffalo,
Right.
Matt Judon out of Grand Valley, who do pan out. But I remember specifically before Duke was anything to write home about. I know they've had a decent football team the last few years, but when Detroit took Laken Tomlinson, guard Duke, and I just saw Duke come up 1st round, I was like, oh God, what are we doing? Yeah. He's serviceable. He's still playing down in San Francisco, I think, but he's not a 1st round guy. And yeah, I just remember specifically thinking, like, you got the Georgias, the Bamas, the Michigans. What are we doing taking a guy from Duke? So yeah, I see exactly where you're coming from with not that A&M is a Duke, but I see what you're saying there.
Yeah, absolutely. Never in the minds of us that they were going to be in the college football playoffs. They're not those guys.
Right.
They're not hanging out up there.
Right.
Last one. Talking about the best fantasy fits. Obviously, I'm the big fantasy guy here. I love fantasy football. I have, I believe, like 15 or 16 articles out on the website right now about player profiles from the rookie draft. I've got about 24, 25 more in the chamber, just sitting there, just waiting to get done. But we got the Kentucky Derby. We got to get this video out. We got work to do. So one of my favorite picks, and like I said, Genty's off the board. I don't want to take any 1st round wide receivers. It's too easy to say Ibuka. I wouldn't say Ted. I've got a little bit of concerns about Ted. We might get into him in a future episode. I'm going to go Quinshon Judkins, Ohio State running back, going to the Browns. I just think, you know what? They got Jerome Ford there as the number 1 running back. Now they drafted, I know Nick Chubb was thinking he's going to go back to Cleveland. You just drafted Judkins and Sampson out of Tennessee. Nick Chubb, I think that window's closed. And if I'm the Browns, that window is closed. But you know what? They're drafting double running backs, double quarterbacks. Maybe they just want a little bit of everything. Just have everybody on the team. 53-man roster doesn't apply to Cleveland. I just think he's super talented, and I think he has the speed to do well at this next level. He's going to need to go to a team where he could be kind of like the main focal point. He couldn't come in and be some 3rd down back. He would have done fine, but he wouldn't have been as fantasy relevant as I think he is now that he's in Cleveland. Also, you know what? Give me Joe Flacco with the dump offs. Give me Shedeur with the dump offs. Give me what's his name out of Oregon. Give me him with the dump offs. Dylan Gabriel, I think, right? Give me his dump offs. Judkins is a special player. He's a really talented player, top tier athleticism, and I just love this landing spot for him. A lot of these running backs that I did not go to as good situations. Tutton going to be kind of buried down the depth chart in Jacksonville. A couple of these other guys really not going to good spots. So I like Quinshon Judkins a lot. I think he's going to be immediate, able to play him. Start this. Well, I think it might take a couple weeks to beat out Jerome Ford for the 1, but I think year 1 you're going to be able to start him.
Yeah. Well, first I just need to correct one thing you said. You said dump offs from Shedeur. You meant drop offs. DoorDash drop off. That's the only thing we're getting out of Shedeur.
Legendary.
That was a legendary drop off from DoorDash Shedeur. Yes. $3.50 plus tip. Enjoy. I should have stayed in college and major NIL, but so I said before coming on the show that I just had a feeling you and I were going to line up on our same fantasy pick here.
Yeah.
We did not. However, I was this close to picking Judkins. My reason for staying off was because they did draft Sampson as well. And while I think Judkins is going to be more of the guy there, my fear was just that Sampson would really show up in training camp and potentially take over too many carries.
Good too.
But I stuck with running back. I stuck with the AFC North. I'm going 3rd round pick, Caleb Johnson, Iowa running back, drafted by
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, replacing Najee Harris. And really, the only guy he has to beat out is Jalen Warren. Jalen Warren is not meant to be an every down starter in the NFL. He is your 3rd down back, your receiving back. You get Caleb Johnson, a big body, 6'1", 230, I believe, somewhere up in there, out of Iowa, a run-heavy offense. I think he's going to fit right into this offense. You have big receivers now with DK Metcalf, George Pickens on the outside, and still a lot of questions at quarterback. Who knows who's going to be the starter? I don't know if Rodgers is coming in. I don't know if it's going to be, who is it now? Mason, is it Rudolph?
I think it's Rudolph.
Yeah.
Rudolph. If Rodgers doesn't go, it's Rudolph and Will Howard out of Ohio State.
Will Howard. Yeah, right. So just a lot of quarterback questions. I think they're going to rely on the run. It's kind of Mike Tomlin's style anyway. So, yeah, I think it's a really nice situation for Caleb Johnson here. I think he's going to be a good value in your fantasy draft. I don't think he's going to be a super high pick, depending on how preseason and training camp goes. But I like Caleb Johnson slotting in for where Najee Harris was. I think he can be a better back than what Najee ended up being. And yeah, I think he's more of an every down back than what Jalen Warren is. So I really like the situation for Caleb Johnson going to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I love it. We'll head to final thoughts. I'll make my fantasy related. Just wanted to shout out we just did 2 running backs, AFC North, hop over to the AFC West, which is going to make, our lives as Chiefs fans just got a lot harder, man. We got Alshon. We got Ashton Genty on the Raiders. We got Hampton going to the Chargers, which is a really good pick, especially in Dynasty. They got Najee for 1 year. Then Najee's gone. Hampton takes over full time. And they got Harvey going to the Broncos. Very high on all 3 of those guys, and they all went to teams. I think they can all start really day one. I think Hampton could beat out Najee to start day one. They're paying Najee the money. Maybe he doesn't, but Harvey, I think he beats out McLaughlin. I'm not very high on McLaughlin at all. So I just want to shout out those guys real quick. Keep an eye on them. And then, Ethan, anything else to close out this draft episode, man?
Yeah, I thought Hampton was a weird pick, to be honest. But I thought Jahmyr Gibbs was a weird pick for Detroit, and look how that's worked out. So, I trust the Chargers know what they're doing. I'm pretty fond of the higher ups in that organization, including Jim Harbaugh. Made me sweat, though. I had under 2.5 first-round running backs, and when they drafted him, I was like, it was one of the last teams that I thought would take a running back.
Yeah.
Leave it to Jim Harbaugh to make me sweat one, but all's well that ends well. So, yeah, I like it. A little bit tougher for your Chiefs there with some new running backs. But yeah, we'll see how they all end up. A lot of fantasy relevant players, I think, this year.
Absolutely. Anything to close out, Ethan? You got any thoughts on Shador or any of that?
My thoughts are he's not going to start. I wouldn't take him in fantasy unless you're playing CFL fantasy, if that exists. But even then, I don't know. Plug your nose and proceed with caution. But I guess last thing I'll just say, hometown kid, Isaac Tesla, he might be a decent fantasy relevant player. I think he's going to fly under the radar. But we were talking before the show. Usually in the last few years when Brad Holmes makes a shocking pick, it turns out to work out pretty well. So I think they really like what this kid has to offer. I think he's going to end up being a Jameson Williams replacement as of next year. But I really like what Detroit did with their entire draft. But for fantasy purposes, I think Tesla could be a sneaky late pick for you.
I love it, man. Well, thank you for hopping on with me. We'll have more of these throughout the off season, breaking down some fantasy players, talking about what's happening, what changes are going on in the NFL. So make sure you guys do subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave us some comments. Who do you think killed the draft? Who do you think got killed by the draft? What are your thoughts on Shador? Let us know everything. Yeah. Fantasy players, let us know everything. And you know what? If you have an idea for a future video that you'd like to see, drop that in there too. We'll see you guys later. Peace, guys.
See you guys.
Flexing on the haters, can't touch my score. Money like Jerry Rice, touchdowns galore. Week after week, always asking for more. Bling on the wrist, got the books on the floor. Listen in, cash out, pages swelling. Play Always on the field, see me winning, never dwelling. Flagged on Vegas, they know what I'm selling. NFL bets keep the cheesy compelling. Flexing on the haters, can't touch my score. Money like Jerry